Hello friends, my name is Nick and welcome to another Steve's Leaves unboxing video. Always one of my favorite videos to film here on YouTube, and 2023 marks my 6th consecutive year doing Steve's Leaves unboxings, which I cannot believe it's been another year. But new year, new code. If you already used code phillyfoliage last year, 2022, you can use it again this year, 2023. The code has officially reset and you can save 15% on Steve's Leaves, and any purchase you make with code phillyfoliage, I get a commission. So thank you so much if you would like to support me. A very easy way to do so while also bringing in a bunch of greenery into your home. However, I'm going to be very clear about it this time. You can only use that code once throughout this year until it resets next year. So make sure you save it for a really good purchase where you get the best bang for your buck, and also spend the most that you can so I can earn more commission. Anyways, you can see from the size of this box, we have a decently large unboxing to accomplish today. Before we get inside this box, I do want to let you guys know that if you're watching this as I am uploading this, it is currently winter in the United States, which Steve's Leaves only ships to the United States, so also an important note to make. But if you are ordering plants in the wintertime, you're going to want to go ahead and purchase the winter shipping assurance along with your plants, which at Steve's Leaves, the winter shipping assurance only covers 6 plants. So if you're ordering 10 plants, 12 plants, 8 plants, you're going to want to purchase 2 winter shipping assurances. This lets Steve's Leaves know that they are going to have to insulate your box and add heat packs and also keep track of the weather, not only the weather in your area, but also the weather of the route that the truck will be traveling on, just to make sure that your plants are going to arrive safely and in the most perfect condition. One more thing I want to let you guys know is that if you find a plant on stevesleaves.com that you want to purchase but it's currently out of stock, please utilize that email notification feature, because not only will you be notified when it's back in stock, but it also lets Steve's Leaves know that they should probably amp up production on that specific plant. They're a small business and they're growing roughly 98 to 99% of the stuff that they are selling on their website in-house. So it not only helps you out, it helps them out. But let's go ahead and get into this box. I'm really excited to see what's in here. Steve's Leaves always blows me away with not only their selection on their website, but the quality in which the plants arrive in. They're always just so lush and gorgeous, even more so than most of the plants I see at my local houseplant stores. All right, so we have 11 plants to open today. I feel like every time we do a Steve's Leaves unboxing, it becomes an even larger Steve's Leaves unboxing. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this is the largest Steve's Leaves unboxing that we have done here on my YouTube channel. And they also send along a little card that tells you exactly what to do with your plants when they arrive, which is mainly to unpack your plants immediately upon arrival. Of course, give them a little drink if they're a little bit dry, make sure they have the adequate humidity if they are a houseplant that requires just a little bit more humidity, and to not repot your plants right away. You should be waiting at least 30 days to repot something that you receive in the mail. But let's go ahead and get inside here. I guess this is taking up a little bit of room. I don't know how to really do this. I had such a better setup at my old apartment for filming these unboxing videos, or videos in general, with my counter. My counter's too tall here in my new apartment. My table's a little too low, but you know what? We're gonna make do. We can get rid of the box at some point, but for right now, we're gonna keep the box on the table. So which one do I wanna open first? The tags are on the outside, so you get to have a little sneak peek of what you're opening beforehand. And from what I saw on the invoice, we have a lot of good plants in this box. A lot of new plants that I've never tried out myself. Plants that I probably would have been trying out if I had stayed working in the industry. So I'm really excited to give some of these a go. Also, it's been a long time since I've brought any plants into my home. Since I moved, I've really only gotten rid of plants. Haven't really brought any in. So it'll be nice to fill in some of those spaces that have been forming over the last couple of weeks, months. All right, so this is an Epipremnum pinnatum aurea-variegata. I think this is so cool because it literally looks like a golden pothos. It's the aurea version of the pinnatum. So the Cebubu pothos is probably the most common Epipremnum pinnatum that you would think of. But if I was to look at this at first glance, I would totally think that it is a golden pothos. It really takes until you look at the structure of the leaf and just look a little bit closer at it that you really do realize that is not a golden pothos. That is totally an variegated Epipremnum pinnatum. So what sets this apart from the standard golden pothos? The leaves are a little bit thinner, they're a little bit elongated, and particularly when this would be more mature, if I was to grow this up a moss pole or grow it up one of my trellises and it would start to form some of the splits in its leaves, that's when it would really start to look a little bit more different than the standard golden pothos. And my one trellis in my home is looking busted lately. I just put all my reject plants on it when I moved in. It's not looking good, and this, I think, will be the perfect addition. And I think once it grows up to the top, or probably even like halfway up the trellis, it's really only like 8 inches long at this point. By like 2 feet, I might start to get, probably like 3 or 4 feet, I will probably start to get some of those more noticeable fenestrations in the leaves. Fenestrations being the splits in the leaves that you would see on like a common Monstera deliciosa or Monstera adansonii. These plants, however, just take till a little bit more maturity before they're going to get those splits. It's a little bit more difficult to get them, but it's absolutely possible to do in the home. And I think that's going to be my goal with this one, because I think it really would set it apart from the golden pothos in my home, but it also really makes such a huge impact on my home once these leaves get larger and those splits in them. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Epipremnum pinnatum does get splits in the leaves much easier than your standard golden pothos. Golden pothos probably needs to grow up to like 6 to 8 feet before it's gonna get those splits. But like I was saying, I feel like with pinnatums, you're gonna start to see them roughly around like 4 feet growing up a moss pole or a trellis. There's also a decent amount of plants in here. I can't count exactly how many there are, but I do see at least 4 or 5 growth tips, which is really exciting. Not something that you'll normally get with aroids that are propagated and sold online. This one is another aroid, but I've never heard of this one. It's a type of philodendron. I'll tease you with that much. Maybe you've heard of this one. It could very well be one that Steve's Leaves has been hybridizing themselves. I know that they've been working on making a bunch of hybrids of anthuriums and philodendrons, which always keeps things spicy. This is adorable. It's so cute. The leaf shape is giving me like many of those more popular philodendrons, but plain Jane green leaves, which I'm a sucker for. I love my plain green plants, the plants that can just fit in throughout the home. And I've had some really good luck with my philodendrons from Steve's Leaves. By the way, this is a philodendron Werneri mini. Always a test on my pronunciation whenever I get a box of plants. But yeah, this is giving me like more of a terrarium species of philodendron, not in the sense that it requires the high humidity, but just as the leaves are smaller, it's a mini variety of philodendron where if you were to put this in like a terrarium or vivarium and let it just like creep along the surface or like climb up a little sphagnum wall or something, that it would really make such an impact. But I haven't even heard of the regular philodendron Werneri, so I don't really necessarily have anything to compare it to. But if it looks anything like this, I'm gathering that it's probably my vibe. We have this nice little vine coming off the side here. There is 2 more vines, so I believe there's 3 nice cuttings of this plant in here, giving a really nice full appearance, also a little beginning to trail appearance. I do think this would probably flourish if it was growing up a moss pole. These little leaves I think would be adorable. It's kind of similar in a way to, I think the like untrained eye could think this looks very similar to a regular heartleaf philodendron, which I think is funny in the same sense that this looks like it could be a golden pothos. We have 2 plants right here that are having a striking resemblance to 2 very common plants, but they are not nearly those plants whatsoever. They are very, very different. Well, closely related, but very, very different. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on this. I'm really interested to learn more, but I think this one would look amazing, just like on one of my shelves, close to a window. I like to keep my philodendrons within like 6 to 8 feet of a window. I could imagine growing this on my little bookcase that I have close to the window. It would look amazing. It would fit right into the vibe over there, blend right in, and probably grow fantastically. We'll find out soon. This one, I've heard of this one. I don't think I'd grow it. I don't think I've ever tried it, but we're gonna try it now. I feel like out of any of the online plant stores, Steve's Leaves has the most plants with the most gibberish names that I've never heard of, but that's just because their selection is just so wide, especially for a small business. I think like only 14 or 15 people work there. They get a lot done. Okay, I feel like I've tried this before. Maybe I got it in a recent Steve's Leaves unboxing last year. I'm not positive. Some of you might know better than me, but this is, I think I grew this. I might still have it. Too many plants. I might have given them away when I moved. It's a Belosynapsis ciliata. So it's, I believe, a spiderwort. It's very closely related to Tradescantias, the inch plant, and all of those many varieties. In fact, Steve's Leaves has a lot of varieties of these plants, which those are such amazing plants to grow. They're very inexpensive plants, and there's a very wide variety, as I just mentioned. So you can get like a lot of different colors, a lot of similar but different shapes. And if you can grow one, you can grow any of them. I will say with my spiderworts in my home, they are a plant that I probably only get a couple of years out of. It's probably my own fault with the care. I find they'll grow swimmingly for me for like the first 2 years or so. And then once they get a little long, they'll start to get a little bit bald at the top, which you could absolutely start to cut your vines from the bottom, propagate them, plant them back in the top, and then whatever you cut would probably send energy back to the base. So I think I'm just not doing it correctly. You guys could even leave me some tips in the comments. They do prefer like medium to bright indirect light, absolutely not like direct sunlight by any means. The leaves would kind of get a little scorched. But some of the varieties that have thicker foliage can handle that sunlight. These do have pretty thick leaves, but they're not as succulent as some of the ones that are coming to my mind. So I'm kind of playing a guessing game here, but I just really love this little purple tinge that these get on the leaves. I can imagine in too low light, it probably loses that purple tinge a little bit, but I love it. It's a very witchy plant, very gothic, kind of weedy in a sense, like the way that I love plants that look like you could have like dug them up out of the crack on the sidewalk or like on the side of a walking path in the woods here in the northeast-ish. I live in Philadelphia. I don't know what this is really considered. I guess it's the northeast. Anyway, really gives me that vibe. I'm a big fan. A good planter is essential with a plant like this. I feel like a plain terracotta planter might not make this stand out as much, but if you give this a nice little glazed ceramic planter, something with a little bit more character, this could really be the star of the show. I'm gonna have to figure out what happened to the other one. if I did grow this already, I don't know. My memory's been all over the place the last couple of months. It probably ended up with a friend. So this plant, I believe, is one that has been pretty popular over the last year or two. I don't think I've ever tried this out myself. Once again, one of those plants that I think really kind of picked up in popularity after I got out of the industry. But I'm excited to learn what all the hype is about. Oh, I get it. I totally get it. Are you kidding me? This is a Syngonium podophyllum pink splash. And I feel like I wouldn't say I was like a naysayer to this plant by any means. I'm never like the, one to like hype up the like popular houseplants. I feel like that's never really been my thing. However, I always kind of thought that this would be way more like the plain pink Syngonium. Like just the plain one that I would get in just like every single tray of Syngoniums back when I worked at the houseplant store. This does not look like that. First of all, the leaf shape, which I'm going to have to do some research about because this leaf shape is much more the mature form. I just tripped over my words there. The mature form, it's hard to say, of Syngonium podophyllum, but the leaves are so small. So I don't know if this like holds on to its mature form. Oh my God, that's so hard to say. Holds on to its mature form. I don't know. Do you guys get what I'm saying at all? The leaves are just such a beautiful shape. That's what's throwing me off guard. And the pink splash is fantastic. It's way more intriguing than that standard pink Syngonium that I'm thinking about that maybe you're thinking about too. I don't know. But these couple of leaves that are sticking out the top right here are just really killer. This is absolutely a plant that's going to need to be like thrust to the front. It needs the attention that it deserves. This could be a good one too to grow up on my trellis. Especially if I want to keep these leaves looking more mature, which I admittedly usually prefer the more like arrowhead vine shape, or that's what it's called, but the triangular shape of the immature Syngonium podophyllum, but I don't know. My mind might be changed right here. Like I said, I've just learned what the hype is about. I really like this plant, but just a couple of these leaves are just really, really blowing me away. I totally get it. I totally get it. This one needs to be like, how beautiful is that? I love it. Okay. Can't forget the tag, although I don't think we're gonna forget what this one's called. I think this one's winning for me so far today. Not that it's a competition. All the plants are fabulous, but I think I'm most excited about that one. And that's the one I'm most like surprised that I'm excited about. Like I said, not usually so enamored by some of these more popular houseplants. And that one was just never on my radar. But it is now. So this one is a type of Peperomia. I won't tell you what kind it is until we open it. I'll leave some of the surprise there. And Peperomia is one of the plants that I personally love, and I think one of the reasons why Steve's Leaves originally caught my eye. They have such an incredible selection of Peperomia. And some of these plants were really hard to find a couple of years ago. Obviously, as the houseplant market has changed throughout the years, some of them have become a little bit more common, but Steve's Leaves still has like 10 plus Peperomia varieties that I can't find anywhere else. And if you can find them anywhere else, I would consider yourself very lucky. This is one that I have tried growing for a couple years and I've had some really good luck with it, and it's so cute. Oh my God. It's a Peperomia pereskiifolia. It's a peperomia that looks very similar to many other peperomias, and this is kind of like a running theme that you'll see with peperomias. Many of them look very similar to one another, but then they might have like another characteristic similar to another one that doesn't match up with another one, and it's just like this forever just wall of threads connecting one to another. I think I'm losing you with that, but yeah, there's a lot to love is what I'm trying to say. But some of them do look very, very similar to each other. This one, for example, is going to look very similar to Peperomia tetragona, or Peperomia pediolata is another name for that. The parallel peperomia, the stilt peperomia. I don't have one of those in this box today, so I won't be able to show you an example at the moment, but it looks literally exactly like this, except it's got actual patterns on the leaves, and it's lacking that red underside that you're going to see just so strikingly beautiful in this plant. That's what definitely caught its attention in my eyes before. And also it just being a more plain green, plain Jane kind of plant. That's something I just really love because they fit in. You can have 300 plants in your home and it not look like a hoarder's nest if they look a little bit more demure rather than this guy right here, which I'm obsessed with. Not talking it down whatsoever, but this is going to be much more in your face and going to catch much more attention than a plant like this, which can kind of fit in on a bookcase in a little pot, and you might not even really notice it's there. Those are the perfect plants for me. Also a really easy peperomia to grow. I've been growing this one for at least 3 years now in my home. It's grown exponentially. I absolutely love it. Some peperomias I can't say the same for, even though I'm a die-hard peperomia fan. Some of them can be very difficult to grow, and I don't find more than a year of success of growing them. They start to poop out eventually. This one is not one of those. This one will grow out to be like a foot long. Each vine will grow out to be like a foot long, and then once it maxes out at roughly 12 to 16 inches, it will put all of its energy back into the base of the plant and shoot out another vine and do the same thing on another vine. So you're not gonna get like this full trailing plant with these peperomias. They will kind of reach a certain extent, at least in my own experience. I've also only been growing these for a couple of years, so somebody who might grow this for 10 years might have a completely different experience. Also somebody with different home settings, is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Different temperature, humidity, lighting in your home. There's so many reasons why some of us might have different experiences. That's just the experience I've had with this plant, and it's been a very good one thus far. Peperomia pereskiifolia. Definitely check out Steve's Leaves if you're a fan of peperomia, and if you're not a fan of peperomia, I highly recommend giving them a go. And if you've struggled with peperomia, this is a great one to try out, and I would avoid the like very Peperomia caparata, for example, is one that I've never really had good luck with, or like those ones that give you more of like the Pilea peperomioides vibe. These trailing types of peperomia that grow like long and look more traily, like the Peperomia pediolata tetragona stilt peperomia I was talking about earlier. Another one I've had some very, very good luck with and would recommend to anybody. The other ones, not necessarily all the time, although it's always worth trying out one. I always give a plant 3 strikes before I go ahead and kick it to the curb. We got another plant in here. Okay, I've heard of this one before. It's another aroid. I have once again never tried growing it. I don't even know if this one's ever been like at the top of everyone's radar in terms of like a popular plant. Maybe it should be, or maybe I'm completely wrong. Nevertheless, I'm always down to try out growing a new aroid, especially if it's an Epipremnum. So I mentioned that this Epipremnum pinnatum, aurea-variegata, looks very similar to a golden pothos because it's also very closely related to a golden pothos. This is an Epipremnum, I've never said this out loud, amplissimum silver. So also very closely related to Epipremnum aureum, the golden pothos. So we have Epipremnum amplissimum, Epipremnum pinnatum, and not here today, but I'm sure if you're watching this unboxing video, you're familiar with the golden pothos. So 3 very closely related plants, all in the same genus, just different species. If you can grow one, you can likely grow any of them. Just at first glance at this plant, I really love the structure. Maybe it's just because it was wrapped up in paper, but I love how upright it is, and it's very grassy. It's giving me more of like the cutlass varieties of Adelonemas or Chinese evergreens, the much more grassy varieties, whilst the regular golden pothos is giving me more like the Adelonema Silver Bay, if that is possibly something that rings a bell with any of you. Once again, a really ample amount of plant in here. It looks like we have 4 vines in here. Like I was saying, often when you get aroids delivered in the mail from online, there's usually just one little measly cutting in there. So 4 cuttings, I will absolutely take it. Once again, I'm gonna have to do some research on this. Don't really know too much about growing it, but if it's related to the golden pothos or the Cebu blue pothos, I'm sure it is very easy to grow. So whether I'll grow this up on my trellis or a moss pole or leave it to kind of just start to trail down the side of a planter like a trailing plant is up in the air. Like I said, I'll have to do a little bit more research on that, but I'm digging it. So we have opened 6 plants so far. So we have 5 plants left in this box. So this one is a type of begonia. Steve's Leaves has a lot of begonias. It's also another type of plant that I do a lot of hybridizing with. And I've been getting into begonias. I'm sad to admit that many of my begonias, as well as my anthuriums, have not been loving the transition from the last apartment to this apartment. I've lost a few of them, some of the good ones. It's not been the most amazing thing. Life goes on, you know what I mean? It's not the biggest deal. You can start back from 0, which I don't have 0. A couple of them are still hanging on, but none of them are really looking as good as they looked before. It's a humidity issue, I can tell, with the walls not going up all the way in my apartment here. Those anthuriums and begonias are not handling it very well. Oh, okay. Stunning. Wait, so this is giving me... Ow, I literally killed both of them. So I'm scared for this one. This is gonna go under a glass cloche immediately, can tell you that much. Or inside like a Ziploc bag is fine too. I will often do that if I get plants in the mail or from the houseplant store that I know my humidity at home is not going to be up to par. Just a big gallon Ziploc bag, put the plant inside, or if it's too big, you can kind of just like get the Ziploc bag over upside down and keep it open at the bottom. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I killed 2 begonias that I had gotten in the past. Completely my fault. My Begonia naturaensis and my Begonia venosa, which I love my Begonia venosa. That one might be salvageable. The naturaensis, unfortunately, was not. But I always learn from my mistakes, and while I am kind of pointing fingers at this apartment as well as myself, I think I know what to do to keep this begonia looking good. So I'm going to treat this one as such. This is a Begonia paulensis, by the way. Love the name. I think I got a little distracted at first because I was telling you how it looks so similar to my other 2 begonias that have since met their demise, which I am upset about, but it's fine. I'm really loving the leaf structure. The shape of it is giving me the venosa. The texture and pattern is giving me the naturaensis. And then the petiole itself is kind of giving me like a Philodendron serpens or like a squamiferum. It's got that fuzziness to it, like very bristly fuzziness. It's amazing. It also has these little red, like spiky hairs on the back of the leaves. Once again, just like one of those plants with so many little characteristics that you really just gotta get up personal with the plant to notice. And the more you notice, the more you appreciate it. So definitely pushing me to really go out of my way to dig out. I know I have some glass cloches around. I gotta dig them out. They're probably in a box somewhere. I don't know how, because they're glass, can be broken. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Really gorgeous plant. I want this to be at the front. I really want you to be able to see this one because it's stunning. Even though we're far away, and I literally don't even know how far forward you can see on the table here. It's kind of a guessing game I'm playing right now. So yeah, it is what it is. We have 4 left. Ooh, let's open this one. I believe they mentioned this one in particular when we had spoken, saying that it's a plant that they're very excited about. So let's figure out why. I'm sure there's a very good reason. It always blows my mind how immaculate these plants look coming out of the packaging when they've been rolled up in paper and shipped in the mail. Plants don't always look like that when you order them online, but I've never had an issue from Steve's Leaves. I love it. Wait, I love it. So it's an Adelonema, crinipes. Don't quote me on that. It's very clearly an aroid from the leaf shape. It's giving like Philodendron, like Bernardo Pazii, or kind of like Billietiae in a way. But its overall structure is giving me like alocasia, or what's that? It's like the Philodendron. I forget. I think I remember that they said on the phone that it gives them like xanthosoma vibes, which that checks out exactly, because I just said it looks like an alocasia, which xanthosoma is very closely related and looking to an alocasia. This is stunning. I never knew I needed this. Just from using the context clues, I'm kind of gathering that this is a plant that's probably going to require a good amount of watering, so I'm definitely going to want to keep up to date with the waterings on this, but it's going to be a learning lesson. Also, don't necessarily quote me on that. I don't know what's going on with this plant. I have to do some research myself. It's just, it's giving me that. It's giving me like a similar, like also just like care vibe, just from looking at it, to my Apabalis something. It's a bunch of gibberish, which I was nervous about. In a similar way, I'd be nervous about this, where I'm like, this is looking like it requires a lot of water and a lot of humidity, but my Apabalis has really settled into my home very well. I just have to keep up with watering it. So I'm really hoping that this one's going to follow a very similar path that the Apabalis did, but only time will tell. Just the fact that this is like an aroid. Is Apabalis an aroid? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm just starting to ramble about this one at this point because I'm like literally obsessed with it. Like it glows, it's glowing, like from the center, the venation. And it's like little tiny little spikes on the stems, like actual spikes that not like stab you spikes by any means. Like this isn't a hazard. It's a little sensory experience for you. It's giving salad fingers and the rusty spoons. Like I like it less, but I still love it. I love it. Okay. We have 3 left in here. Let's try not to go as off topic with these 3 than we just did with that one. This is, once again, a plant I have heard of, have never tried it myself. For the 6th time, a plant that I think might have gained more popularity after I left the industry. So I just never have had any experience with it. I'm so late getting on these buses. This is gorgeous. Actually, I think I'm thinking of a different plant. I think same genus, different species is the one that's coming to my mind. This one is amazing. The leaf structure, it's killer. This is a Geogenanthus Popeii. It looks like similar to my last name. I kind of like it. Actually, I don't like my last name. It's got a lot of like mafia connotation, which I'm just like, do I give you like mafia vibes? No, it doesn't fit me like a glove. Regardless, I really like this plant, even if it reminds me of my last name. This pattern on the top side of the leaves is just really, really killer. And of course, it's lovingly contrasted on the back sides of the leaves with this very vibrant purple color, even more vibrant than some of the calatheas that you're going to see at your local houseplant stores. I'm like, I like this one a lot. First it was the pink splash, then it's the Adelonema, that one's gonna be testing me, and now it's this Geogonanthus. They are some sexy plants with some sexy foliage. Also, like the corrugation on these leaves, I love it. I don't know why, it's like waffling, like a waffle robe. It's giving that to me. Once again, it's like a sensory experience, and I'm very much here for it. The leaves are pretty thick. I'm concerned that this requires a good amount of humidity. I actually think that I have seen this growing before in like one of the vivariums at one of the local houseplant stores here in Philadelphia, thriving. So that makes me feel like I should possibly be getting a nice glass cloche for this. I need to go to like a local craft store. Every time I'm at like, they're not local, they're They are local to me, but they are big box by all means. But they have such good like glass there. And this could look amazing, one of those pieces of glass. And when you have something in a glass cloche, it's much more like a statement piece than just a plant in a pot. Granted, I love a plant in a pot. I guess there's one there. I also love a plant on the wall, as you can barely see. All right, we got 2 left. We got another Peperomia here. Once again, one of the plants that Steve's Leaves has a very good selection of. One of my favorite plants to collect. They never get old. And maybe this one will share some characteristics to the pereskiifolia, so I can also prove my point a little bit there. I've never grown this one. I think I thought I grew it once, but then I found out like 2 weeks later that it wasn't even a Peperomia. I need to do a little bit more research sometimes. Oh, it's lovely. It's a Peperomia Blonde. I don't know what blanda means. I hope it doesn't mean bland, because it's anything but. I think the only really characteristic similarity that we're going to have with this is just the shape of the leaves, slightly. These leaves are much more succulent. These ones are a little bit more thin. Oh. Oh. Okay. The leaf texture is like very interesting. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a cat's tongue. It's like a cat's tongue. That's actually really freaking cool. Maybe that's what blanda means? Blonda? I'm grasping at straws here, people. But I always appreciate a new Peperomia, especially when I've been collecting them for at least 5 years now, 6 years, I don't even know. But it can be few and far between when I go to visit my local houseplant stores that I find a new Peperomia. Not many growers seem to be as enthralled by Peperomias as Steve's Leaves is. There's a couple of growers, particularly ones that grow like terrarium plants, that you'll find a decent section of Peperomia, but definitely not as good as what you're going to find on Steve's Leaves. We have a little flower right here. Always adorable to see the Peperomia flowering. Will it flower in our home? Maybe. My Peperomias flower sometimes, but it doesn't really matter because the star of the show is always the leaves. The flowers are really doing nothing for me. Don't mean to be rude to them. They're just really not bringing anything home. You know what I mean? You wouldn't serve up a vase full of Peperomia flowers in your home the way that you might do with like a bird of paradise. So, you know, it's not its fault. This is a plant that I feel like I'm gonna have to keep in my general vicinity because sometimes when I'm stressed, I might need to just touch it because it feels kind of nice. All right, we got one last plant in here. Oh, I missed this on the invoice. I would say this is probably a wish list plant for me. Granted, you know, I don't seek after plants in the way I used to, not for any reason other than I just have a sheer volume of plants, so there's no reason for me to go like hunting for every single plant that I want. I have the mentality that we'll stumble across each other one day, and we just did. So this, I will tell you right off the bat, before we open it, it used to be a philodendron. It's not a philodendron anymore. It's now classified as a Thaumatophyllum. Oh, I can't wait to try growing this. It's a Thaumatophyllum stenylobum. Once again, don't quote me on the pronunciation of that. Just fake it till you make it. You know, you just gotta say it confidently. It doesn't matter if you say it correctly or incorrectly. This is going to form that similar Thaumatophyllum trunk that you're going to see on the Thaumatophyllum, what is it called? Bipinnatifidum? Is that still its name? The Philodendron bipinnatifidum? The Philodendron hope, that's what it's most commonly known, or like the Philodendron cellulum, the tree philodendron that forms that nice trunk. It's very often used in like tropical and subtropical regions as like a bush. They look amazing. If you've ever been to like Florida or Hawaii, you've seen these. The ones that I'm talking about with the fingers. I need to stop because it's not the plant that we're talking about today. We're talking about Thaumatophyllum stenylobum. So when these leaves get a little bit larger, you can see they kind of have a very similar shape right now to like a philodendron burl marks, and they'll become like a burl marks but more elongated, almost to the point kind of similar to a bilietiae, like kind of similar. Like it's a philodendron, you know, they all look kind of similar, or Thaumatophyllum. You get what I'm saying. They're both in the same general vicinity of each other, relatedness-wise. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at, and just really sucking at getting to the point, is that the leaf structure on this is killer. It's different than what I'm used to. Muffin, are you okay? Stopping for a moment to talk about Muffin, she's fine. She hasn't been in my content recently because she used to love jumping on the counter in my old place, but she doesn't care for this table. Granted, I don't really want her jumping on the table and didn't really want her jumping on the counter, so I apologize that you don't get to see Muffin as often. Let me go grab her so you can see her. She hates being held, so she's just gonna give us like a couple of seconds. But she's here and she says, hello. Oh, sweetie. Oh, she's literally so sweet. She knows she's on camera, so she's like, let me just be good. Oh, sweetie. Okay. Enough of that with her. Okay. The leaf shape, the leaf structure, it's amazing. The leaf shape that I'm used to with Thaumatophyllums is much more intricate. So this being a little bit less intricate, I just kind of love it, and it just really fits me like a glove. And I think it's a plant that a lot of people will really appreciate. This particular stem is growing 3 new shoots, which all seem to be using the same amount of energy. It doesn't seem like one's overpowering the other ones, which is amazing. This is going to be a plant that I'm going to give a lot of attention. I really want this to succeed and do really, really well. I want all these plants to succeed and do really, really well, but this one in particular, wait, oh my gosh. We need to take a step back. I'm sorry, we have to take a step back just for one moment. I'm just noticing, I'm so dumb. I'm not dumb, I'm just unobservant. The Philodendron, the Epipremnum amplissimum silver literally has silver streaking on it. I completely missed that. It's because of these lights. I can't see as well the full extent of what the plant is offering. Holy crap, that's so different than like your Syngonium pictus. This one, it took a few steps up. I liked it at first, but I like it even more now. Okay, you know what? Oh, I'm just getting bamboozled now. This was a really good unboxing. A lot of amazing plants. Let's bring our box down and we can just, ooh, sorry, ASMR. Let's just recap all of these, also testing my ability to pronounce all of them correctly. So the one that we just got, we'll start with that, the Thaumatophyllum stenylobum. We also had the 2 Pepperomias, the Peperomia Blonde, and we also had the Pepperomia pereskiifolia. We had the Begonia. This was the Begonia paulensis. Really, really gorgeous plant. We had the Belosynapsis ciliata. Still questioning if I've grown this before. I think I have. We have this Philodendron Werneri mini. We have the Epipremnum amplissimum silver, which just took a couple steps up, in my own opinion. We have the Adelonema crinipes. Freaking gorgeous. So much to love about this. The little rough stems to the beautiful shaped leaves to that kind of like Philodendron, whatever the plant is called. Maybe that is just called a xanthosoma. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The lindenii? No? It's fine. Anyway, Adelonema, crinipes, really freaking gorgeous. Same with this Geogenanthus Popeii, the Pileggi. We have the Epipremnum pinnatum aurea-variegata. I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be such a fun plant to watch grow. This is going on my trellis, no doubt. My trellis needs an upgrade. Speaking of, I might also put on this Syngonium pink splash, or Syngonium podophyllum pink splash. Also freaking gorgeous. Some of the most incredible variegation I've seen. Oh my god, if they make a monstera with this pink variegation, I think people would freaking die. All right, that's it today. Our unboxing from Steve's Leaves. Don't forget, you can use code phillyfoliage to save 15%. You can only use that code once this year until it renews next year, so make sure you get the best bang for your buck and get all the plants you want with a discount while it's available. So thank you so much again for joining me on today's video. Thank you again for Steve's Leaves for collaborating with me once again. I always really enjoy doing these videos. Literally, these unboxings are the most fun that I have while filming here on YouTube, so always a pleasure. Thank you once again for joining me. If you don't already, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at phillyfoliage. You can subscribe to my Patreon if you'd like to support me monetarily. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great day.